Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at a constraints analysis, and that sounds much harder than it is. Basically, what we're doing is we're looking at site selection. Um, what I have read here is a map with some datasets of London within a boundary, which is the red square obviously. And the other layers that I have are cafes, railway, schools, kindergartens, and bus stations. Now, I do also have buildings, and I do also have a population density layer. What we're going to do right here, we're going to run a constraints analysis on these data sets, which means that we'll be looking at the actual distances as a minimum or a maximum of a particular location, which means that in the end, we'll be looking at all of the viable and interesting locations for our project, whether that be a property we want to develop, whether that be a site that we want to use for a new shop. We're kind of just running this analysis and trying to find out, okay, what are the constraints that we want to meet or that we want to kind of filter out basically, and what's left. So what we start off by doing is we obviously upload all of this data, which can be anything. Right now, this is just an example of how you can do this. Obviously, you can also run this with your own data. Well, what we'll start doing right now is, now that we have all of our data uploaded, ignore the population data and the suitable areas, because, well, obviously we're doing another run, and this is an old one, an old result of another constraints analysis. Now we will be looking at the tools and workflows, and we'll be able to start constraints analysis. Now what I want to do is filter my area of interest, so my dataset, using constraints with other datasets. So we want to look, in our case, at all of the buildings. So let's show that in the map actually. These are all of our buildings. We want to look at, okay, which of these buildings, or in other words, they could be parcels for properties, but let's say properties in this case, which of these buildings are suitable for our standards, which are far away enough of our railway stations because we don't want to be in a very busy place with all sorts of polluting noise, at the same time close enough to cafes, bus stations, and kindergartens, schools, whatever, since maybe we're looking at a particular family home. So let's say we look at our area of interest as this polygon layer, and we select the building layer as our area of interest, so our data set that we want to filter on. Now we can add in constraints. So first of all, let's look at the cafes, and let's say that we want to have a cafe within 300 meters of our property, of our building, of our home. Next, we can add more. So we can also say, okay, boom, we want a railway station to be at least 100 meters away. We don't want to hear trains around our home all the time. Next, we can add in schools. Let's say we want to have a school within 100 meters of our property. I mean, that's a bit crazy to be honest. Let's say we want a school within 300 meters of property, which is still super close in my honest opinion. But boom, that's what we'll add in. Obviously, we are looking at central London, so it shouldn't be that much of a struggle in that case. But and next, what else can we do? We can add in kindergartens. Let's say we want to have those within 500 meters because, well, we bring the kids to school, or let's say 1500 meters. We bring the kids to school so they don't have to be that close to the kindergarten. And with cars, so, right? And obviously, we can play around with those buffers. So we can also say, this is something that I want to have in walking distance. And for me, walking distance is 300 meters or whatever. Or this is something that we want to have within at least 5 kilometers because, well, we use the car anyways, right? So there's a lot of ways that you can go about this depending on property valuation for your particular property or building. Boom, next we have a bus stop. Let's say we want to have a bus stop within 100 meters 200. And well, one last one that we can run is, let's keep it at that actually. We'll run this analysis and see which of our building layer is left, like what do they fit around, right? So we're now running this analysis, and it may take a while. We'll just be patient. There we go. What we have now is constrained data, and as you can see, it's pretty much a filter of our buildings layers. So let's disable all of the other layers while we're at it. Constrained by all of those factors, we have a pink edition selection of our building layers. As you can see, so these buildings all pretty much fit our criteria, which means that these buildings are all suitable properties for one. Now next, we obviously would need to look at zoning and whether or not we can even afford the property. Is the parcel big enough? Does it meet all your criteria in terms of economic data? But this is a very important step, which is the location step. Now, if you want more information around how to do this, if you want more help with doing this, make sure to join the community in the description down below. I hope that's been a valuable video to you, and subscribe, leave a like, do all of those beautiful things. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you for watching.